So, welcome back to the IFM Talks, the podcast where we explore facilities management, innovation, and the leaders shaping our industry's future. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to a remarkable guest, Sonia Murton, the founder, MD, and driving force behind Westbury FM. Under Sonia's leadership, Westbury FM has earned its place on the Sunday Times Top 100 Fastest Growing Companies. And if that wasn't enough, she's been recognized by The Independent, the Inspiring Women in Construction and Engineering Awards 2024, a testament to her vision, innovation, her team, and their impact on the FM world. If you don't know Sonia, you live under a rock or you avoid but don't worry, we're fixing that right now. Sonia, welcome to IFM Talks. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. I was so excited to come on this. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I hope the journey here wasn't too stressful, even though I imagine a Zoom commute is much kinder than battling London traffic.
Definitely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries at all. So, Sonia, I sort of want to give our listeners a bit of background about yourself.
Mhm.
I know a little bit about you. So, for example, you have a diverse career, starting from IT, moving into interior design, and now leading Westbury FM. I was wondering, how do those experiences prepare you for running a fast-growing FM company?
Yeah, sure. It's funny. I'm just going to say one of those funny things is that I didn't mean to get into FM. it just kind of happened, and I didn't even know that much about it a few years ago. Excuse me. And you're right. So I was in IT recruitment for nearly 20 years, being the account manager, account director for BT, run the account across the UK, and my passion was always interior design. So I got involved in interior design once I had my second son. And it was really interesting because from there, it led me to go into commercial refit, which was pubs, bars, and clubs, small hotels, that type of thing. It was there that I then realised about FM in terms of working with multiple trades on any job. And I constantly, my main issue is that we were working and I was expecting a plumber, I was expecting an electrician, I was expecting a carpenter to turn up, and all of a sudden it was a case of, no, he can't come today, he can't make it, we can't get the plumber. So constantly moving the goalposts on jobs all the time. And it was not only like the delivery time scale was going out the window, but also the budget constantly, abortive calls with people that were waiting for somebody else to do something before they could do their job, and I was like, this is absolutely crazy. And I said, from that moment, I'm going to set up a company, but we're going to do self-delivery from everybody, from literally dropping off the product to finishing the job, hanging the curtains, putting the furniture in. We wanted to do all the job on a self-delivery basis, and that's really what happened with Westbury FM, of what I wanted to do all 8 years ago.
Fantastic. So how has the vision changed from 2016 to now?
Well, uh, COVID had a lot to do with the vision being changed, actually, because that was a moment where we were heavily into hospitality and retail. And at that moment, I was employing 37 people. At that moment, I had to make that decision of what we were going to do, because all of the customers we were working with, except one, Wilco, actually, because they stayed open as an essential service, I had to quickly change the business and look for other opportunities. And that was really good because that moved me away from hospitality. So we wasn't so reliant on that. And we moved heavily into healthcare and distribution, which actually saved Westbury, basically, because I immediately got multiple revenue streams from those businesses that were sitting here, but actually just skyrocketed up. Do you know what I mean? So it was really right place, right time. That's what happened. And then the business completely changed direction into where we are now. I mean, now the client, we have a very diverse portfolio of clients now. Because of learning what happened in COVID, I was never ever going to let that happen again. So now I make sure that we're just sitting with lots of different diverse customers.
And that pivot from, sort of retail hospitality to sort of distribution and healthcare,
Mhm.
is that after like a strategy meeting with sort of like your business partner, your leadership team, or was that just like, you in London traffic trying to figure out what's happening?
The funniest thing was I know exactly when all this happened. So it was the first day of lockdown, which I couldn't believe. Boris actually said we were going to lock down because I kept telling everyone that it was never going to happen.
Mm,
And I was at home watching the news, and I literally was on my computer and I was thinking, okay, then who is working? Who is going to work? Yeah. Because I was seeing this thing about essential workers, who's working. And at that moment, we just done the tender for the Priory Group.
yeah.
And literally loads of contractors, I don't really remember, but they offered that bounce back, they offered that loan for companies to shut down and blah blah, that that £50,000. Loads of businesses took that money and decided to have a holiday. Right, literally that's what happened. And so I put it out there that we were still working, and literally overnight I just got flooded with work, absolutely flooded with work. I had too much work, and I actually was then, during that period of COVID, I actually doubled the size of the business because loads of people were not working and we were. So we were in distribution. I mean, as you know, everybody started buying everything online, which meant that distribution sites were packed with people, couriers, and their business all like doubled and trebled during COVID, which meant that more problems were happening on sites, toilet blockages, lighting issues, damage into car parks, potholes, fencing repairs, gates broken. All of these things were absolutely massive. On the other side, on healthcare, all of the contractors decided, I actually going to say something like 90% of contractors said they weren't going to work. And it was a situation where the Priory Group and then another care home I took on as well that also needed support. We were in there all day. So we were COVID testing 2 or 3 times a day, going in with masks. The team were absolutely brilliant because it was new to everybody, not only the staff in the buildings, but particularly for my team. They were learning new things with all this testing, and we were working in care homes and in hospitals at that stage, and it was just business as normal. And that's
Yes.
what happened. I mean, it is actually surreal to even think of how it all happened so quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's fantastic because obviously I joined the space just after
Mm.
COVID as well. And I was reading your interviews on the Sunday Times, the Independent and stuff. And just hearing how you actually grew the business, not just
Mm.
financially, but also in terms of headcount during COVID. It was just great to see. I mean, and it's credit to
Yeah.
you, your team.
Oh, thank you, love. I mean, it was a crazy time because employing 37 permanent staff, I had no option. I had to think of something else straight away. And some of my guys came to me, my engineers, and said, one of them in particular said to me, I've got 5 children, Sonia, which I knew, yeah. And he said, I know you've got the furlough thing. He said, but that's not an option for me. I can't be on furlough. I have to go to work. I can't lose part of my salary. And I said to him, don't worry, I'm thinking of something, something's going to happen. And literally overnight, I just can't even believe it. I started emailing people saying, I'm still working, we're still here, we're here to assist you. And literally it was as if someone had just turned on a light and said, give all the work to Westbury. That's literally what happened. Absolutely mad.
It's great to hear. Great to hear. Now,
Yeah.
Obviously, this this is clearly why you were rated, Sunday Times one of the top 100 fastest growing companies, and that's a major achievement in the UK.
Mm.
I'm sort of curious, like, what's been the secret to scaling Westbury FM so successfully?
It wasn't a plan. Yes, it just happened, and I think that's really good when it just organically happens, and I made loads of acquisitions to get where we were. It's just been natural organic growth. I mean, I think um one of the biggest things that I do and the team do here is that, we never say never to customers. If they've got the same values and, we want to work with each other, we're trying to find a way to make it work. I think that it's just having a great team, forward thinking team, that say, here's a customer. We would do it not like this normally, but they need us to do it like this. Can we make that work? Yeah. So it's just being open, honest, and having great communication with customers and having those difficult conversations. Rather than saying, um, yes, we can do it and we might fail because this is how you want it done. We will always say, this is how we can solve your problem. Can you work with us? And I think customers are open to that conversation now, where they're not so, I think FM has changed so much now, and picking a good partner to work with, and having the same values is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the two words that come to mind is authenticity and transparency, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, now you scaled massively over the past couple of years, and
Mhm.
growth always comes with its fair share of challenges. I'm
Mhm.
sort of curious, what's one of the toughest moments, if you can touch on COVID as well, but
Yeah.
faced while scaling the business to today?
The thing is the Sunday Times um, top 100 was brilliant as well. But what that does is lots of companies then want to work with you, which in itself is really good as well. And I'm really grateful. But um, just because that happened, if you were to be of the mindset where you just keep taking work, you're never going to be able to deliver. So you're going to fail. Yeah. So it's been great, okay, but it's also been a challenge,
Mm,
of saying no to people, and that's because we're in the southeast and everybody knows that to scale a business is hard in itself because it's all about the team, it's all about the people. So you can
mm,
have lots of customers saying, I've got a £1 million contract, I've got this, I've got that. But if you haven't got the team to actually deliver it, there's always going to be a problem, you know and that is one of my hardest things, is
okay.
is getting the right team to solve the customer's problem.
Mm, mm. And how has that been going? Like, I know from prior conversations, you're also looking at sort of like apprenticeships as well. And
Mhm.
many people are focusing on apprenticeships. So sort of like what role do apprenticeships play within Westbury FM, and how do you ensure that they're set up for long-term success as well as the experience
Mhm.
missions as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in growing your own team because you can't sometimes in the last few years, I just haven't been able to go to market and find the people that I've needed. So we've had to set up an apprenticeship scheme that has so many problems because you can put everything in place, you can give people a chance, yeah, but at the end of the day you can't make them learn. You can give them all the tools, and all the encouragement, and the team here is great. I've got some older guys that have got loads of experience and wanting to pass on, but there's been quite a lot of challenges with apprenticeship schemes, the ones that we've run in house, and it's mainly around, I think, you know, kids today want to be Instagrammers. They want to have some kind of like a star life, be a footballer, you know, go on Love Island and constantly spend time on the phone. And that's one of the main challenges we've had in this business. We've had lots of young people, because I embrace young people coming in, you know, but they're just not engaged enough. And you know, so the person that they're buddying with will say, you know, can you put your phone down, please? You know, can you put your phone down? It's like, I personally was on site, went to check on a job that was happening, and we had an apprentice on that job. I walked in the space, my senior engineer was doing the work, and
Yeah.
the apprentice is just standing behind him on his phone.
Yeah. Okay.
And as soon as I get there, I said to him, "What you doing?" He said, "Oh, I'm just checking on my Facebook." I said, "You don't check on Facebook during work time, yeah? You need to be helping. You need to be learning of what, you know, of what my lead engineer is actually doing. He wants to show you, but you're just not engaged, you know." So that bit has been hard. And out of every five we get, we're only putting one apprentice through permanent,
Okay.
which is really low. It's really low.
And is that just because you're struggling to to find people who are sort of devoted to this field of work, or you know, Westbury just has that high standard to meet client expectation?
I think you need a high standard because you know, lots of people find these courses you can go on. You can go and be a plumber within, you know, 5 days on a plumbing course, yeah, and then you think you're a plumber. Um, all of that's okay, but you really learn on the job. That's when, you know, that's where skills are, you know, accomplished, is that actually being somewhere, working in a live environment and dealing with customers around you, you know, block toilets, changing pipe work to taps, and you know, sinks, and whatever, you know, that's where you're actually going to learn, not on these courses. And the thing is that I've got great people here that want to teach young people and pass on skills and knowledge, but I just find the engagement with them really low. And I don't think, I think it's just a thing at the moment, you know, it's like, it's just a way young people are,
Yeah,
you know, and it's really difficult.
I think it's definitely a phase because I made a recent LinkedIn post saying, you know, when you work for a good company or with good people, that's the new Russell Group, right? So I think it's just a matter of them coming to terms with that themselves, and
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it comes with age.
No,
Um,
I think the problem for me is that at school you're allowed to be in lesson with your phone, yeah.
yeah.
And then what's happening now is that people are in school with their phone, yeah, and then what they're doing is they're just bringing that phone to work and carrying on.
Mm,
And it's not acceptable at work, you know. I mean, I don't have a no phone policy even on my help desk, because I expect people to have their phone there, you know, but they can still do their job. I mean, they're not scrolling, do you know what I mean? If they get a message from family or somebody, you know, they can have a look at it. But it's when, you know, if you're sitting on your desk and then you're just doing this all the time, I'd go absolutely mad. But I mean, we have other issues with apprentices as well, is that when they get in the van, for instance, going to a job,
mm,
this will make you laugh. You know, they get in the van and they just fall asleep. Yeah. All the way. Yeah. They fall asleep all the way there. Then if they get in the van during the day, they fall asleep. In the evening on the way home, falling asleep all the time. I've got one particular guy, one of our roofers, Ken, he's absolutely brilliant. He will not allow an apprentice to fall asleep in his van, because he wants to talk to him about the job, yeah, what we're going to do when we get there, what needs to happen in terms of, you know, we need to get this roller fell up on the roof, yeah, so we need to get the ladders out, we need to do this, we need to do that. He's always talking through you know, the rams of how they're going to do the job, you know. He won't actually allow apprentices to even be asleep. Says you're not allowed to be asleep because we need to do all the prep work before we get there, which is really funny.
yeah.
But other people in the business, you know, if they don't get engagement, you know, quickly, then they kind of switch off as well and feel that, you know, these apprentices don't want to be here. which
Mm.
is also difficult.
Yes. Well, shout out to Ken.
Yeah, Ken's brilliant. Yeah.
It's also why I imagine people want to continue to stay at Westbury and be led by you, because you give people that recognition even on a
Mm,
podcast like IFM Talks. Now
yeah.
you previously mentioned London and the southeast, and obviously London, it's an expensive area to live, and with rising wages in these areas, how do you sort of balance fair pay, profitability, and service quality?
Yeah, it's that is one of my biggest problems. So as you know, the southeast, everybody, I mean, I'm paying top wages for most of my trades. I'm paying more money than the average wage. Okay. And that's because I wouldn't get the people otherwise. I wouldn't get great people if I just didn't pay the top scale of our salary bandings, you know. So that has been a real challenge. And then of course on the back flip of that is that I need to pass those costs on to the customer. Yeah. And that's always my issue, where I have the discussion with customers about price versus value. Yeah. I'm a firm believer when we're dealing with customers that they say to me, I only want to pay £39 an hour for that trade, Sonia. Yeah, for an electrician, say. That's not the call out rate. That's just the hourly rate. I want to pay £39 for that service. And I say, okay, but I can't deliver that service for £39 in a van. Yeah. So I've got congestion zone. I'm driving into London. I've got parking charges and all the rest of it, you know. Um, Other companies out there may say, I can deliver that service for £39, but the engineer they're sending to that job, okay, maybe someone who's recently qualified and may have 18 months, 2 years experience, okay, and they can sell that service for £39. But the problem is that when they get there, it won't be a first time fix, because the value of having a more experienced person there is that we will actually solve the problem much quicker and probably on the day. And that's one of my key problems every day now, is when people say, oh, you're too expensive. Yeah. But as we all know, you pay for what you get. So if you consider you can take a person in for less money, on a lower rate, that person may take 2 or 3 times to actually close that job down. So it affects the KPI. So I'm still a firm believer that paying the right money for the right people, so we solve the problem that much quicker. But that's one of my biggest problems in this area is uh, wages. My other problem is traffic, constant traffic. And one of my other biggest fears is that the van's being broken into all the time, and all the tools being stolen. You know, that is something that absolutely drives me insane. And it's actually happening just in broad daylight. They see a van parked up in a residential street, so they know they're working off the high street somewhere, and then the van's being done over all the time. In
Yeah.
fact, I've stopped sign writing all the vans now.
Oh, goodness. I
So
mean, I imagine insurance for FM and construction companies have gone through the roof now, haven't they?
my insurance has gone up double. It's over £100,000 a year just for my vehicle insurance. It's really high. My rent has gone up from when I moved in this building to where I am now. I'm paying £5,000 a month more for my rent. It's just crazy. You know, the NI contribution that's just about to happen, because my thing is direct employees, that's just about to cost me £90,000 more a year, that 1.2 uplift, you
Wow.
know. It's really expensive. And I've got customers that are one of my first customers that I ever worked with. I'm still on the same rate with them. Yeah. And I'm telling them I can't deliver that service for the rate any longer. You know, January, we need an uplift. I've been more than patient and I still want to work with you. But they are being unrealistic about, the rates. They would not be delivering this service in-house ever for what I'm delivering it at. it's and that's about to be a serious conversation. You might have seen on LinkedIn I did something last year or this year, I can't remember, about time to say goodbye. I actually had to write to a customer and say, I can't do this service any longer at this price, and if we can't renegotiate, I'm gonna have to go, and it was a hard conversation, but in the end I did have to go, and in fact they thought that I was just going to stay forever, and I wanted to stay forever, but I just couldn't make it work any longer. When it brings all the averages down, and all my costs are going up and up and up, it's really it's time to have a serious chat with customers. It's an awkward conversation, but I think it's good to be open and transparent with them, with customers, and just say I can't deliver it for that any longer.
Especially if they want a long-term partner, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and it was really sad. But I'm pleased I've done it. And funny enough, they went to market to benchmark, yeah, what the market said.
Yeah.
And the market came back saying it was 18% higher than what I was getting, yeah. And then they've still gone to market and looking for cheaper suppliers, which I haven't retendered for. I've already put my price in. I put
Right.
my price in, there it is, and I'm still here. But actually, they've lost loads of months now of not having a good service because they've been using lots of different companies to deliver, you know,
Mm.
and their KPIs and their SLAs would have really heavily been affected by all of that. I know.
Yeah. They're searching for a replacement, but they can't find the real McCoy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I've also heard that facility owners sometimes see FM providers as a second thought. So, you're not part of the team. I'm wondering, how do you actually change that perception and highlight the value, like you said, of what you do?
I think I mean I haven't come across that issue much, to be honest. Okay, and I think that from day one, I think that's probably an issue with people that are on site. If they're delivering a service on site. But for me, I think I've always worked with companies that see us as an extension of the current team. I mean, we do such valuable things that they may not get their own direct staff to do, like cover the out of hours service. Christmas Day, Boxing Day, we're still on call, so we'll still be out there working. Their permanent staff will not want to do that, so I think they see the value of us there. And also they're only paying for the service when there's a call out. So if had their own permanent staff, they'd be paying on call allowance all the time, so they see that as a value. I also find that some of the permanent staff on site will take all the good jobs and give us all the bad jobs, all the ones they don't want to do. But that's just life. That's just life. So I do think when they look at that, they do see the value of us. But I think sometimes they get upset about the cost. Yeah, they think we're getting more money for doing that. But that's just life, unfortunately. To have a service ready to go whenever you need it.
Yeah. And you mentioned, writing the letter, it's time to say goodbye. I'm sort of curious, apart from that, have you ever had a difficult client relationship that you managed to turn around, not just and for the betterment of Westbury FM as well as that client?
Yeah, I think everyone has some difficult conversations and difficult customers. I think it's just managing the expectation of the customer from day one. Finding out what they um, finding out what their values are, really, and I suppose what they expect from us on day one. But yeah, we have had clients that are upset. I mean, there's a fine line between when you have a customer, yeah.
Mm.
So we go to do some work, yeah, and we find unforeseen situations that we wouldn't have known until we'd started that work. Yeah. And then you have to uplift the job and say, actually, while we're here, we have found this also, we're going to have to do this. So for instance, imagine we were doing some ply flooring, yeah, and then we uplifted that floor and we realized all the joists were rotten, yeah. And to do a good job, we would say, okay, well, we need to repair these joists because the floor's spongy or whatever, And I had a customer that kept saying to me, every time you go out and do a job, you always find another problem. Yeah. It was just a situation that just happened. And there's two ways of looking at it. One, we could just say nothing, yeah, and just go, okay, we'll leave that, but we're only doing this bit. So that's giving the customer a bad service and not delivering, great work, by not highlighting something to a customer. And then on the other hand, the customer says, we're always trying to get more money off them. So I had someone who was a little bit unhappy about that, and that was just managing. But as long as you could demonstrate why you're saying this, it's up to them whether they want to go with it or not. But we're just highlighting it. But that was one of my tricky conversations with a customer that said, you keep coming for more money all the time. But
this is what happens when you're hiring the Premier League of FM providers. Like you you're working with professionals, right?
but I could just say nothing. Do you know what I mean? I could just leave it and say, I'll do nothing about it. We're only here to do this part of the job. Yeah. Let's not worry about what's going on over there. So for instance, another thing is like when we're doing floor works, and the reason the floor's rotten or fouled or it's spongy is probably because there's a leak somewhere under the floor. Yeah. I'm talking probably like a bit behind the back of the bar or something like that. And so when you lift all the floor up, you'll see how wet and what the wet as the damage that's happened. Yeah. And then you can say, oh, I found a pipe leak while we're here, the one that's under the floorboard. So the pipe's not actually sitting on top of the floor covering, it's sitting underneath. So it's just rotting everything, so which you couldn't see. But when you've uplifted that part of the floor, you could probably smell it because you'll smell that it's rotten. And then you've got another problem there, and we do some work and more's damage. But I always believe in saying to the customer, being honest and saying that this is what's happening. You may not have the budget for it. You may not want to do it, but we just want to show you what's happening there right now.
Yeah, yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And sort of what leadership lessons or words of wisdom have helped you along the way?
I think being personable, being open and transparent and honest with customers all the time. I think one of the biggest thing is communication. Always communicate with the customer, even like I've said before, the awkward conversations. People may not want to hear it, but I think always just to tell the truth about what's happening, what's going great on a job and what's going wrong on a job. You always need to share with the customer, so they can manage things their end. Yeah, I just think FM's evolving so quickly now. It is challenging, it's really challenging. I think the skill shortage is going to be a massive thing, and I think in the next 2 years, I think that's really going to be a telltale of where we are,
Yeah.
for the general tradesperson, the great tradesperson, the carpenters, the joiners, those sorts of people, the electricians, and plumbers. I mean, I think it's going to be, I think we're really going to be short staffed out there. And that's what the worry is.
Yeah. And in terms of like advice that you would give to other FM leaders, would you say the biggest skill that they should work on is not just retaining their staff, but becoming the best recruiters possible?
Yeah, actually. I actually thought about setting up my own recruitment agency within this business
Yeah.
this year. I actually did think about it, because we're spending so much money on recruitment.
Okay.
that I thought it must be easier for me just to employ somebody, and have my own in-house agency, because finding talent is really, really hard, and you need a constant pipeline of people, So we're recruiting even when we're not recruiting, if you know what I mean. We're constantly advertising all the time, because if that superstar walked through the door, I'd be looking to employ them. And I'd find a space for them, because things change so quickly. And I just don't think you can really ever let good people get away. I think if you meet somebody brilliant, you've just got to get them in the door straight
Definitely.
away.
And, and I think that
And
works is if you find a good leader, try and be with them for as long as possible, right?
yes, yeah, absolutely. And also those guys that I've got that are the older ones, with all the skills. I've got a joinery workshop downstairs, and so we make bespoke custom doors and windows by hand. That is amazing to get young people in to work and follow those carpenter and joiners that are downstairs, and it's a skill. It's a like I said before, just going on a course is not enough. You need actual practical work to put that practice that you've learned, out onto the job, into the field. It is really, really hard, but um, and like I say, it's hard to recruit at the top end, but it's hard to recruit at the apprentice end as well. You know,
Mm.
in fact, this month, January, I'm working with Charlton Football Club, Charlton Community Trust,
Mm.
and we are entering into a program with them of bringing people into work. So people that may have been part of gangs, or um, street crime, um, drug running, and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so we'll work it, and also ex-offenders. So we're looking at from next year. We're bringing in. We're doing this test, this pilot. If this works, and those people are anything from school leavers to 40 years old. I don't know whether you know, but we did this thing called Ban the Box, which was ticking a tick exercise on our application form that has a box that says you don't have to tell us you have a criminal record at this stage. Yeah. Only if we offer you a job is it your
Mm.
responsibility to tell us that you've had a custodial sentence. So that
Okay.
means that we can interview somebody not, um, you know, distorted with like what may have happened
Yeah.
previously, yeah. And we can make a judgment call about that person sitting in front of us at that time now, yeah. Then once we've offered them a job, it's their responsibility to tell us that they've got, a criminal record. And then we can decide the risk in the business if we can do something with that person. And because someone may have done 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, doesn't define who they are now. So uh, that's how wide we are of looking for good people. Do you know what I mean? So joining up with Charlton Community Trust, and the Ban the Box. So we're doing so many things to try and get great people in and give people an opportunity. I just hope it all works.
Well, I hope it does too, not just for Westbury, but also Charlton and that entire community. And I
Yeah,
love that band the box in the sense of you're seeing people for who they are now, and then
yeah,
you're giving them that chance to sort of tell you the truth, and then
mhm,
you're sort of testing their values, and if it aligns up with Westbury FM, right? It's
yeah.
perfect. I love that, and I hope that's a massive success.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about it next year. Charlton Athletic Community Trust are coming to our AGM in January to do a presentation to the whole company, because all the engineers are there, talking to them about buddying up with some of these people. And also giving the value to the engineers of, you know, potentially having great people come through the door that want a second chance, want a first chance. You know, some of these young people haven't even been to school yet. They've skipped out of school, so and they've got straight into gang culture and gang life. You know, so I'm really excited and really passionate about it. So, I mean, also, a lot of those people are young men and young boys, but also we're talking to the female football club side, where, you know, we've got young women, young girls that may not make it into professional football, and those people need to have a career, a backup, you know. So whether that comes with us with training, mentoring, or whatever it looks like, we don't know yet, because we're still building the program, but I just think it's really rewarding to do that, you know, get involved with local people. We know here that we've got a massive drug crisis in South London, and in fact Charlton Community Trust are just about to have a youth centre in Sidcup, which is where we're based, so I think we're going to be heavily involved in that as well.
Yeah, that's great news.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Maybe one of those young men or women, or even the ones in their prime age, will be the people heading off Westbury recruitment. You never
Who
know.
know? Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, be good.
And
If
so, go on.
I was going to say, if any recruiters are out there and they want to come in this business and set up a recruitment business, get in touch.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So Sonia, what trends in FM do you think will have the most significant impact over the next few years?
Okay, for us as a business, definitely recruitment. I think that's going to be a problem for everybody across the whole country. And I think that's going to be a serious problem. Okay, but AI obviously is coming in, and lots of people are talking around how AI is going to take various jobs away. We've got a help desk sitting here, so yes, I've just bought new software, and we are looking at working certain tasks of that role, um, using AI, particularly for tracking engineers, vans, traffic, how quickly we can get someone to a job, you know, the AI element of it taking the human brain having to think about it, because basically the software is talking to Google Maps and all the rest of it, apparently it knows how fast the van's traveling, how many people are on the road, and how quickly we're going to get there. So we are using that type of technology. But also, I think one of the other big things is going to be, everyone's talking about electric vehicles, EV charging.
Yeah.
I think one of the other big challenges is for FM in particular, is that we are being pushed heavily to get into electric vehicles. But in other parts of the country, that may work really, really well. But in South London and Greater London and home counties, that's definitely going to be an issue, because I've got 55 vans on the road every day. We did a survey a couple of months ago. I think we only had 15 people that would have their own driveway to actually charge a vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, so all of the other, that means 40 vehicles, yeah, couldn't be charged on the street, or had no electric vehicle charging points where they lived. Yeah, so that I think is going to be a trend, but it's also going to be an issue, because I don't believe there's enough vehicle charging points out there anyway. Also, I think that the vehicles have just not got enough range for the type of thing that we need to do to be running around. And also, I think another thing is that these batteries, they say, oh, we've got 300 miles, we've got 200 miles, whatever we've got. But nobody talks about, once the radio's turned on, once the aircon's working, once you've got a ton load on the back, actually you're talking half of all of that. Okay, so you may only have 100-mile range. Well, to go around the M25, you might do 60, 70 miles just going around there. Do you know what I mean? So you wouldn't get home without charging again. So all of those kind of things are trends, but they concern me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is, but by keeps talking about electric vehicles, I'm just not convinced about it at all. I want to do it, but out of the whole team, I've only got 15 people that could possibly have a driveway free or a place free to actually charge. So that is a worry. The other trend I think is help desks. I see that being phased out. I literally believe that's going to all go AI, definitely, in the next few years. They won't have help desk people sitting there any longer.
Okay.
Which is a worry, which is losing a job for a load of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we already have AI answering the phone when you ring your bank or you ring anybody else. I mean, at the moment here, we still have people picking the phone up. That may go, but what AI can't do is actually triage your call. So I think the service will become much more premium. Yeah. So it will be, rather than just a help desk call, you'll have someone on the phone who's actually trying to solve a problem. You know, we do that with our electrical jobs anyway, because we offer a service 4 hours, within 4 hours or within 3 hours of where we're based. But actually, when we're talking to some places and we have the history of all the call outs, so we know, the type of calls we've got, we know what all the problems were. We then look at trying to triage that call. Yeah. So instead of the client being billed, I don't know, £300 for a call out and electrician on site for half an hour and back again, we're looking to charge them £99 because we triaged it over the phone and got them up and running, especially when we go through the fuse board with them. So it might be something they've plugged in that's made the fuse board trip, like a kettle, a toaster, microwave, the washing machine or something, has made it, the hairdryer, the tongs, something's made it trip out. We try and work with them to do those. Obviously, it's better for our engineers not having to drive around, but also, wear and tear on the vehicle, the stress of sitting in traffic and all that kind of thing, particularly at night when we get the out of hours calls.
So those possible trends are possible challenges as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's next for Westbury FM?
Well, when I talked about COVID earlier, I talked about how the business had to be much more diverse with more diverse clients. And in the last year, we've got heavily into the social housing sector, just extending the client portfolio, really. And that has become really, really interesting, that space. So currently we are working with 2 large housing associations, delivering services, all services actually, drainage, electric, gas, fabric work, external works in communal areas, including outside spaces. So we're doing that, and so we're doing a lot of that, and then we're also doing all these retrofit works, which is really exciting. And that's basically what I'm going to be talking about on LinkedIn quite a lot now, about the damp and mold issues in social housing, where a lot of them haven't got any ventilation, as we know, that causes damp and mold, education around ventilation. So we're heavily involved in that. So that's really exciting. Can't wait to get that really, really going. I mean, we're doing quite a lot at the moment with a housing association. We're with 29,000 units in the southeast. We're not delivering service to 29,000, but it's split with their own delivery team as well and us, and it's working really, really well. So that, I think, is really exciting, and that's a space that we are pushing. Distribution will always be in that space. We are working heavily with some large distribution companies, and then retail, but not just the small independent, but large chains are back again spending money on maintenance. So yeah, it's interesting time ahead.
Absolutely. And are you still working with healthcare clients?
Yeah, definitely. Heavily working with the NHS, the Priory Group, and some other small independent care home providers.
It looks like an exciting time with the child,
Yeah,
the community trust, the possibility of a in-house recruitment firm, and
yes,
social housing. I mean,
yeah. It's busy. It's really busy, and I'm looking forward to next year. In fact, I'm looking forward to finishing this year because it's good just to have. I'm one of those people that really love the 1st of January. Setting targets and challenges, and thinking, what new things are we doing this year? I'm in the I'm in at the moment. I'm in the middle of writing my rewriting my strategy. So looking at this year's strategy, what we did, what went well, what didn't go well, and how we change those things, and what we're doing for next year. I don't think there's anything wrong with getting things wrong. Yeah, as long as you've learnt by it,
I agree. I
because
agree.
we're not all perfect. But yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's really challenging out there. Um, yeah, for the engineers. I mean, I think my engineers are always moaning 'cause we're doing a feedback from them all the time. And their biggest moan is traffic, the stress element of traffic. Yeah. And that then comes back to the office, making sure that we are getting the closest engineer to a job so that they have less time on the road.
Yeah.
Our Greater London engineers, yeah, and home counties, because of travelling, my average paid earnings on site is about 6 hours a day. That's all I get paid for, because all the rest is travelling where I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
Serious, serious stuff. So, you know, that's when the AI part comes in,
Mm,
to make sure we get everybody where they need to be in the quickest time and the shortest mileage.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
thank goodness for technology, eh?
Thank goodness. Yeah. Been really good. Yeah. So that's that.
So, folks, it's time for a special part of the podcast, Cheers or Not. For those of you who are new here, let me explain what it's all about. So, at InfraSpeak, we have a tradition. We celebrate wins, big and small, not just for ourselves, but across the entire facilities and local community. So, we thought, why not bring that tradition into the podcast? This is our light-hearted way of getting to know Sonia's opinion on trends, ideas, or quirks in the space. I'll share a few statements, and Sonia will tell me cheers or not, and more importantly, get to explain why. But first, a quick shout out. This segment is proudly brought to you by InfraSpeak, your partner in making FM smarter, simpler, and more efficient with its intelligent maintenance management platform. So, Sonia, thank you so much for an insightful conversation. Are you ready for cheers or not?
Yes.
You have your glass. I have my H2O here with me.
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. I also have a little knife so the listeners could know when. Okay, so first question. London is the toughest market to run an FM business in the UK.
Hmm.
So that a cheers.
Cheers.
Would you care to elaborate on that point?
Mm. Traffic. Traffic is at its absolute worst. I have no idea where all these people are going. I honestly, every day, we're sitting on the side of the A20 here. I have never seen so many people going to London. Let me tell you, it used to be leave at 6 o'clock to get into London through the Blackwall Tunnel. My guys tell me now they need to leave at 4 a.m.
My goodness. Okay.
4 a.m. to get through the other side to London to start at 7. That is craziness.
Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah, really bad.
Jeez. Okay, so number two, growth without culture isn't worth it. Cheers or not?
Cheers. Um, you need culture, and great culture, because that is the team, that is the business, So um, growth can be vanity, yeah, with turnover, okay, but the culture and the management needs to set the pace of how we go, So for me, culture is such a big thing.
I agree. I agree. And like you said, you mentioned management there. I mean, it really trickles down, and I think the first employees that you hire play a massive part in forming that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Number three, everyone. So apprentices are the secret weapon to scaling an FM business long term. Cheers on that.
Cheers.
Tell us why.
Apprentices are really important. But for me and Westbury, I've got to grow my own people, yeah, because of the staff shortages out there. But it's really hard to bring apprentices in and get them and successfully embed them into the business and get them through the other side with no distractions. So you need to have a team here that are already happy to help train apprentices to keep them engaged. And it's like they've been to school and now they're at work.
Mm.
You still need to treat them like they're at school. It's still educational. This whole apprenticeship scheme is educational, and it's hard work, and it costs quite a lot of money because we're having to have people involved with them every day and making sure they're learning something.
Mm.
Yeah,
So I guess that also means you need to um, really focus on hiring not just experienced technicians, but also experienced technicians who are great teachers as well, who can actually.
exactly. That for me, there's lots of people here that are great tradespeople, but they don't actually want to train anybody.
Okay.
And not everybody, came to work to be a teacher. Yeah. So I have to listen to those people and say, okay, you don't actually want to train anybody, which is a real shame because you've got some great skills. But they may do it in a group scenario that they don't want to be responsible for people, um, just on a daily basis, because we have a duty of care where it comes to putting apprentices out on site. We need to make sure and measure all the risks, because there are a lot of risks with having apprentices on site, and them not being fully aware of the surrounding that they're in and what's going on around them, so they have to be prepared to listen.
Absolutely.
But I love apprentices. I mean, it's going to be my thing next year and the year after. Hopefully with Charlton Community Trust as well, that we bring those older people in, that potentially are going to have second chance, and want to be involved in some meaningful work.
Absolutely. And so number four, you can't grow an FM business without taking on a few sleepless nights. Cheers or not?
Absolute cheers. Yes, I've had loads of those. Yeah, I've had loads of sleepless nights. My overheads are huge, um, because I'm being a self-delivery company. I have to employ all of these people, so to be able to self-deliver. So yeah, I've had some sleepless nights about that, because that's always been uh, my thing, doing this self-delivery. I've always believed in it. Customers believe in it. Sometimes I don't want to pay for it. So that's been a challenge, but just generally now, being in the location that we're in, Southeast London, it is expensive. It's expensive to be here in this space, in this area. Very hard.
Mm.
I can see why lots of FM companies are situated in the Midlands and the north of England.
Mm. Yeah.
Because it's expensive where we are, and it's only going to get more expensive.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, and I have no doubt you'll continue.
Trying.
So number 5, technology will completely replace manual FM processes within the next 10 years. Cheers on it.
No,
Okay,
definitely not.
tell us why.
I think there's always going to be a need for the man or woman in the van actually physically doing a task. I don't think everything will be able to be. I know now smart buildings like new apartments, new offices, they're all smart and they're AI. The heating is computerized, the plumbing system is computerized. I think that's going to happen. But this country, we've got so many old historic buildings. Those systems are not going to work in new buildings. I do massive amounts of work in heritage. You're never going to get AI running those sites ever. That's still going to be a job for somebody to go and do something.
Great to hear.
Yeah,
Great.
definitely.
So number 6, retaining staff is harder than winning new clients. Cheers or not?
Cheers. Hmm.
Tell us why.
Retaining staff, so many reasons. We need to keep staff engaged. You need to value and hear the opinions of all your staff. You need to have great training for all your staff. We have to give extra things like we set up this year a carers policy, people that get an extra week's holiday to do caring for any reason.
Mm.
We need to offer personal development to staff, which we do now. We offer 24/7 flexibility to staff now. We also have to offer mental health counselling, which is a thing available to everyone that works here. So retaining staff is really hard, and to keep them all motivated, and to be a great employer, you need to offer so many things. So
Yeah,
many
yeah.
things. Yeah, so many things. You know, um, and even because you're spending a lot of time with these people, working with them, and they come to work because they may want to offload and to share issues that are going on at home. And we now need all these processes and policies in place to support these people.
Mm.
Very, very important.
I agree with that.
Mm.
So the next question. Facilities management doesn't get enough recognition for the value that it adds to businesses. Cheers on that.
Cheers to that. I think facilities management, all the stuff that businesses don't like, the health and safety. Yeah, who's looking after the building? When all the grounds outside in the summer are looking amazing, that's organised by the facilities team. Your bathroom, your wash place facilities, the canteen facilities, all of that off the back of that is run off the back of facilities. And I just think that people probably don't see a whole facilities team is running that 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 part of the business. People take for granted that they walk into a building that's really nice and warm, really nice and clean. So it's like whether it's soft or hard services, you're walking into a space, even airflow, that's all dealt with in facilities. That's really important.
Yeah. And I guess that leads me to my next cheers or not question or statement. Facilities management providers, their work is finally done when no one notices that they were even there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, definitely. Yes. Without doubt. Yeah. Facilities want to be quiet in the background. That's right. And every business just wants to know that everyone's got no problems. You know, you're walking through the door, the reception looks amazing, the plants look amazing, the air's amazing, the escalators work, the stairs have got no trip hazards, the toilets are all flushing. Yeah, that's what facilities do.
That's it. And since I've been in this industry, I'm just like, this is a beautifully well maintained, well run place. I mean, credit to those. Like, I've never thought about it before, but now I just, it's the topic that's always on my mind.
Yeah. And when you walk into a nice building, you can see that it's cared, that it's looked after. You know,
Mm.
you can see that. And it's really important. Like all those soft services, all the cleaning, you know, you can tell if you've got a really amazing cleaning team in a business. You know, you can see that the tiles are sparkling, the carpets are nice, you know, everything looks as it should, you know.
Absolutely.
And particularly in London, you know, it's got some amazing spaces for people to work in, but they want to be able to work in a space that, you know, feels nice, smells. It smell. That's another thing that's coming through facilities now, isn't it? They're piping lovely smells into buildings. You know, not like you did when you're trying to sell your house with coffee and bread, but you know, it's that just that nice smell, that of freshness, of hygiene,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is great.
So Sonia, last question. FM companies should focus more on sustainability, even if it increases costs in the short term. Cheers or not?
Cheers.
Why is that?
I just think that companies that don't think long term and think short term just won't be around in 50 years. I
Okay,
think you just need to think more about long term business and long term strategy.
absolutely. And just to sort of echo that, I think if it's important to your clients, it's important to, where society's heading, then it's important to you as a service provider, right?
Definitely, definitely.
Okay. Well, Sonia, this has been an insightful, enjoyable conversation. It's always fun, speaking with you. I really do hope I get to see you at the IFM tour. Um,
Definitely.
and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Been,
Really enjoyed it.
thank you. You've been amazing. I've been Omari Stafford Davies. Everyone listening, let us know how the conversation went in the comments. Give us a like. Don't forget to follow InfraSpeak on LinkedIn. Also follow the Inside Facilities Management page on LinkedIn as well. Give Sonia a follow, give her a connection request, and also shoot one my way. So thank you so
Brilliant.
much for listening.
Thank you so much.